So for the entire time they were in the wilderness, they really looked like they were in a bad position. You wouldn't want to be in their position. You would, they were in a horrible position. They didn't fully understand what was going on and what was happening. And this is what gives us leverage on our forefathers. We have leverage. We have their experience. They didn't have anyone's experience of going through this. So when we go into the wilderness, we're going to look like we're in a bad position. It's going to look bad for us. We're within the borders. We look like we're in a bad position. Once again, we left our families. We've left our livelihood, and we're over here alone. And we look like we're in a bad position. Some family members are very small, 2 and 3 family members. Some coming over single just by themselves. They look like they're in a bad situation. But see, this is when you're doing what the Most High say do. He will get us to where he wants us to be. But until then, we will continue to look like we're in a bad situation. But it's how we handle these bad situations. Numbers 14 and 27. The Most High says, how long shall I bear with this evil assembly who complain against me? How long? And here we go. Like I said, we're today complaining. I have heard the complaints with the children of Yasharal make against me. The Most High hears our complaints. Deuteronomy 1, 29 and 30. Then I said to you, do not be terrified or afraid of them. The Most High, once again, does not want us to be terrified or afraid. For Yahuwah, your mighty one, goes before you. We read this over and over. He go before us. He will fight for us. According to all that he did for you in Egypt before your eyes. All the signs, all the things that he did before the people's eyes. And they still had a problem trusting and believing and doing what he said. They still had no problem in rebelling against him. And that's what they did. Rebel. Nahum 1 and 7. We should know that Yahuwah is good. We should know he's good. A stronghold in the day of trouble. In the day of trouble, we know this is Jacob's trouble. He is a stronghold in the day of Jacob's trouble. And we're heading for this trouble time. It's the trouble, the trouble, I will say this. It's here. We see it happening to our people. And the trouble will get worse. It's going to intensify. And when you get to the point there's no food and water, you're going to know this is it. And there will be none to bury their bodies. And Yahuwah knows those who trust in him. He knows the ones that trust in him. And he also knows the weak ones. And he would like for the weak ones to become strong. He doesn't want us to be weak, inefficient, scared, and afraid, and fearful. He only wants us to fear him. When we fear him, we won't be fearful of others. John 16 and 33. He says, these things I've spoken to you, that in me you may have shalom. In the world you will have tribulation. Yahushua telling us. We was told we will have tribulations. Again, many of our people going through different things. And these are the tribulations, problems, trouble. Be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. We have to know the end, the finishing line. And some have been dealing with, troubles because of the wicked system, because of wicked people, and are in the process of separating themselves from these wicked people. When you separate yourself from the wicked people, you're separating yourself from unnecessary troubles and unnecessary tribulations. Psalms 119, 143. Trouble and anguish have overtaken me. Our people, the trouble you face, the anguish you face, our people have dealt with that and more, to the point of death. So you are not alone. Like I said, all of us are going through something. Yet your commandments are my delights. His commandments should be our delights, even in the midst. This is where we find our strength, through his word. But we have to dig in and get this word that he has for us. Psalm 107 and 50. Let me see. Psalms 107, 1 through 3. Oh, give thanks to Yahuwah, for he is good, and his favor endures forever. Let the redeemed of Yahuwah say so. So we got this in Christianity. Let the redeemed of Yahuwah say so. So who are the redeemed? Whom he has redeemed from the hand of the enemy. We sang these songs in the churches. Whom he's redeemed from the hand. He redeemed us from the hands of our enemies. But we had no idea what we were singing about, what we were talking about. We had no idea who the redeemed are, because we stopped at verse 2. Verse 3 tell us who the redeemed. And gathered out of all the lands. We're talking about, so if you haven't been gathered, you're not redeemed. Remember, we're about to see this word redeemed. We've had redeemed before. None will redeem you. None will save you. So these are the ones that gather out of the lands, from the east, from the west, from the north, and from the south. Now let's see this word redeem. Compensate for the false or bad aspects of. Save. You see, when he says none shall redeem you, none shall save you. This is his word. And we had to save ourselves, rescue, justify, vindicate. So we had to save ourselves. Noah had to save himself. Gain or regain possession of something in exchange for payment. Retrieve, regain, recover, reclaim. We have to reclaim, what was taken from us. Our heritage. This has to be reclaimed. And these people will be called the redeemed. And these people, the 1/3, they will go into that land. Daniel 12 and 1. At that time, Michael shall stand up, the great leader who stands watch over the sons of your people. I want you to zero in on this right here. We have to understand. See, righteous people that's going through these problems with wicked people. There are Malaks that stand watch over the sons of your people. And it's a heavy presence of the Malak within the borders. This is a heavy presence. And make sure the ones that's coming out, make sure where you're going is within the borders. Because everybody's not checking where they are when they come over here. Make sure you're within the borders. And if you're just outside the borders, okay, no problem. But we have to get you within the borders. This is where the heavy presence of the Malaks are. And there should be a time of trouble. So during the time of trouble, Jacob's trouble, here there's going to be Malaks watching over the people in the wilderness. Such as never was since there was a nation even to that time. And at that time your people shall be delivered. See, here are the 1/3 in the wilderness. The Malaks watching over. Here are the 1/3 being delivered in the wilderness. Everyone who is found written in the book. Are you found written in the book? Your name in the book? So it's everyone that's found written within the book. And here we have the Malaks watching over the people. All right, we need some examples. We need to see our people. We saw Yasharal looked like they were in a bad position. We know what position we're in today. Everybody that listening to this video, you know the bad situation you're in right now. But here we see Jeremiah 38. We're going to see Jeremiah in a bad position. Thus says Yahuwah, he who reclaims in this city, he who remains in this city shall die by the sword by famine and by pestilence. We went through this. We don't have to go back into this again. The Most High just gave us this. They were supposed to go to Babylon. When it's time to serve, it's time to serve. And the ones that refuse and they remain in the city, they shall die by the sword. So it seems as if you have a righteous man speaking a word from the Most High. It seems like this word ain't from the Most High. So our people don't know when the Most High speak and when he didn't speak. They don't know the Most High's voice from the enemy's voice. So you're going to die by famine, by pestilence. Here we go again today. We're telling everybody, he that remains in Babylon shall die by the sword and by famine and by pestilence. See, our people don't want to hear this. Those weak people don't want to hear this. You mean to tell me he who remains, he who stays in Babylon? I thought the Most High was going to deliver us. He who remains in Babylon shall die by the sword, by famine, and by pest. I'm not saying this, the word of the Most High is saying this. But he who goes over to the Chaldeans shall live. But he who go overseas, he who go out of her, he who go and get within my borders shall live. His life shall be as a prize to him, and he shall live. This thing is about living. This thing is about obeying and living. Choose this day life or death. I will stay in Babylon. Okay, you chose death. You chose to be amongst the wicked. This is your choice. You choose to die in a defiled land with a defiled people. That's a choice. Or you could have chosen life and come out of her. This is why we're within the borders. No matter how we look, we don't worry about how we look. Yeah, we look like we're in a bad position. But it says, thus says Yahuwah, this city shall be given into the hands of the king of Babylon's army, which shall take it. This is the word of the Most High, coming from the prophet. Therefore the prince said to the king, please let this man be put to death. When you speak righteous word for the Most High, they will say, please, let us put this man to death. He talking about us leaving Jerusalem, leaving our land, leaving the house of the Most High, and going into captivity. He was talking crazy talk. So if we say come out of her and go into some place, that's wicked. If we say stay in this place, we're good to go. You see, this is backwards thinking. We have to do what the Most High say when he say to do it, and not on our own. And as I told you, the Most High say go into the land. They refuse to go into the land. The Most High say come out of the land. They refuse to come out of the land. Don't you see why he keep telling us, how long are you going to rebel against my word? How long, Yasharal? This is another message. You're getting a two-part message. You're getting a message within a message. How long are you going to rebel against the Most High's word? We should not no longer want to rebel against the Most High word. We should just throw our hands up and do what he's telling us to do. Therefore, he says, please let this man be put to death. For thus he weakens the hand of men of war who remain in this city. He's saying he's making us weak. He's saying he's making us a wimp. We're not wimps. That's fight. Is not that what these Babylonian teachers saying? I hear some people. I see people in comment section. Why do we have to leave this land? Our forefathers built America. This is our land. We need to stay here and fight. Let's take over the land. The Most High didn't say stay there and fight. And if he told us to stay there and fight, we would flee. We'll say, I'm not fighting. You see, we always do opposite of what the Most High say. Be careful. Know and understand what his voice is and what his voice is not. And always, by all means, follow his voice, and you will not go wrong.